Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots podcast and YouTube channel, and it is yet another match reaction where Deka, he gets to say those words once again.
Well, when you know, get in.
I think for this match reaction, we're going to keep it quite short, because those that managed to get a ticket for a sellout for a cup game in St. James's Park would have known that first 90 minutes was pretty poor, to say the least. But yeah, we'll dive straight into it. There was 8 changes from the game on Saturday, something which we expected. We knew early on that Nick Pope would be starting. We got that news a couple of hours before kickoff, and that Sean Longstaff was also going to be playing. We expected Joe Linton to come in as well, because of obviously the suspension at the weekend, so it was no-brainer to put him in. Was any of the shocks in that starting lineup for you, or was it just as you would expect for the cup game?
Yeah, it was pretty much as I expected. Obviously, bearing in mind the ones you've just mentioned, I was surprised Pope was in, if I'm honest. I think we discussed on Monday night that we thought that maybe Darlow or even Karius might get a nod. But yeah, I think we're obviously right saying Byrne would move over to centre half, which I think was absolutely fine. Lascelles come back in, Target come back in, Shelby and Sin getting game time. I thought was ultimately one of the most important things of the evening, really. And we all knew Trippier and Wilson weren't going to play. Actually, to be fair, I didn't even think we'd see Trippier, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no real surprises really at the start.
Were you expecting a bit more from that performance, though? Obviously, those players are given a chance. And we've waxed lyrical on Monday night about when players get that opportunity, they normally take it. Well, they currently have it, obviously, at this moment in time in the Premier League. There was no really standout performances for me last night in the changes that were made.
I think it will have to be fair. I think it is difficult sometimes to have the same consistency in the fluid of the player when you've made so many changes. But I think I have to be fair. I think some of them would be disappointed in the performance that they give in that game, given it is their chance. I thought we were just very predictable, very slow, very predictable, very easy to play against. We were the type of team that we would have loved to have played against years ago. You know, where you can just sit in behind the ball. We never looked like we were going to break them down at any point in that. Certainly the first half. Christ, the first half was terrible, which we kept obviously referencing when we were sitting there. But it was just a bit stop-start. Couldn't really get anything going. Loose passes, some really loose passes. It was just a tough watch. It was a tough watch.
That was from both sides, though, as well, mate. It was a pretty poor game for both teams. If people were tuning into that one, if the opportunity was there, I know it wasn't broadcast anyway, but if people had tuned into that, I'm pretty confident as a neutral fan, you would have probably turned it off, because it was that bad at times. There was just no, like you said, there was no fluidity to the game. There was just no sort of momentum being carried and things like that. It was just very, very, I don't want to say lazy performance, because it wasn't a lazy performance, but you could tell that these players hadn't really played together, and they just didn't have that connective. They just weren't connecting. That's the bottom line of it.
Yeah, I thought a lot of times as well. Like again, this is quality, right? This is the standard of player. But like there was a lot of times where certain runs were being made, but we weren't passing the ball forward. We were more so inclined to just go back to Lascelles or back to Manquillo. Then you know it was that right hand side with the 3 that we've mentioned weekly now, with Bruno, Trippier and Almiron. With them not on, Jesus, that right hand side was just dead. It was just dead.
Yeah, we mentioned that a couple of times when we were watching it, and we were sat side by side. It was me, you, and Mark, and we said a few times that you could see the pocket that was there, the space was there, but it just wasn't getting used. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
And there's a couple of times where I pointed out to you, if Fabian Shaw's got that ball at the back, rather than passing it to Botman to the side, he'll try and ping it basically on the wings of the field. That wasn't there last night either. It was just passing back between the back 4, then taking it from there, which once again, it's just it doesn't really give you that boost and that basically power and effectiveness of piling up the field as fast as you possibly can. And it was more of a gradual build up to the likes of chances. And I think we had one chance in the second half, I believe it was, which was Anderson, I want to say.
Well, the chance in the first half, Longstaff, who I also thought had a poor game, Longstaff drilled it into him like a shot almost. He took a really good first touch, but the shot was nothing.
Straight out the keeper was that one.
Yeah. I think quickly the reference before in the second half we'll go on to, which we will. Pope's save in the first half was outstanding. Like,
I forgot about that, mate.
Yeah, that was outstanding, that save. And at that point of the game as well, them were really grown into the game, and I was getting worried. The lad up front, I apologise, I forgot his name, was number 14, Matita or something. He was causing all kinds of trouble.
He had that bit on ropes, didn't he?
He really did. And I think with Byrne, obviously Byrne moving into centre half, what I would say about Byrne, he was the one constantly trying his best to get the tempo up at the back. Yeah. You know, he was trying to get the ball and get the ball out wide. He was playing some lovely balls out to target. But you're right in what you're saying in regards to Lascelles. The second Lascelles got that ball, Shea might take it out a few yards and have a little look. And maybe ping a pass into midfield or one over the top of Saint, for example. Whereas for Lascelles, it was just, I'm going straight to Byrne every single time. And
it just kills everything, doesn't it?
It does. It kills the momentum, kills the move. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few times you could even see Longstaff getting frustrated with the lack of movement from everybody around him. Joe Linton as well. I think at one point Joe Linton was going wild because he had the ball at his feet, and I think he gave the ball away eventually. But it's just because there was no opportunity to pass that ball anywhere. Yeah. Nobody was moving. It was very, very flat. To be fair, as a match reaction, I know this one's coming across, I wouldn't say negative, but it's not what we've been used to. And it looked like an old-fashioned cup game of what we have experienced before. But once again, that's down to the amount of changes which were made. And you can't blame anyhow for making those changes because those players on the field deserve that opportunity. The
100%. Yeah, and I thought the bench was very strong. And as the game went on, I know that we're seeing a lot of these players. But I think just to reference what you've said there, I think, like, I know it might sound negative, but we can only be honest on what we've witnessed, right? Like, when we're certainly not criticising any of the players. No, absolutely not. It's just there isn't really much we can say about the first half, really. I mean, it was just a poor game.
Or the second half, to be fair.
Or the second half, really. Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
There was a few changes throughout the second half where obviously Bruno came on, Trippier came on, Almiron came on. You could tell at that point, I know it was later on in the game, but I wouldn't say there was chances created, but you had a lot more of the ball when they came on the field.
Yeah, it ignited the crowd as well, didn't the crowd? The crowd got up. Obviously, there's some fantastic chants and shouting for Bruno. That was really nice. I thought Almiron had a superb chance, and it's the sort of the goal he's been scoring.
Was that the one where he looked well offside?
He was offside, 100%. We were quite in line with that. But it was a lovely move. I thought I have a feeling you hadn't come back up from the second half. Actually, you were still drinking. But Dan Byrne had a header. Saint cut inside and put a beautiful cross in. And Dan Byrne had a really good chance with a header, which he hit straight at the goalkeeper. But other than them two opportunities, there was nothing.
Nothing whatsoever.
No.
So it goes to penalties, and I'm so glad of this new rule where they don't piss about with extra time, because who wants to play a further 30 minutes of football? Who wants to watch a further 30 minutes of football like that? Yeah, so it's straight to penalties. And are you worried going into a penalty shootout as a Newcastle fan? Because I've only experienced one in St James's Park, and it was against Everton, I believe it was, back in the day, and I'm sure Wayne Rooney scored a penalty, if I remember right.
I was at one under Bruce, and Almiron missed and Saint missed, and it was a bad one, and that was a cup game as well. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember the Leicester one when Shelby said he'd never take a penalty again. I took the kids to that game.
It was Shelby and Hayden was shocking penalties.
Yeah, so I can't remember us winning one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
it feels a while ago.
But we've got a few players in that team that we know can strike a ball. Chris Wood being one of them. So he steps up first. I believe it's Chris Wood that takes the penalty first.
Yeah, brilliant.
Actually, buries it. Great penalty.
Yeah.
But the credit goes in that penalty shootout to Nick Pope. He had an absolute blind eye. Makes 3 saves. And obviously on the back of going into a World Cup tournament, you think Southgate's looking at that thinking he could be the one between the sticks if it comes to that point of penalty shootouts, because he does well. He does really well there.
I think obviously the squad gets announced today at some point this afternoon. I have a feeling that at this moment in time, his choice is already made up of whoever that was. I don't think last night is going to move anyone up or down in that order. I think he's set there. But I do think, though, what it might do, though, in regards to if he's not playing, say, and we'll get to penalties in the competition, that might sway it and go, you know, actually, I'll bring you on, because like what Holland did with Tim Krul. With Tim Krul, yeah. You know, it's like horses for courses, and obviously, for me, personally speaking, right, I'm being arsey here about Pickford, not about his height or anything, or his arms. All I'm saying is, I'm not, because it always comes across that way, and people go, here we go again. But Nick Pope is an absolute mountain in that goal. Yeah. He's a mountain, and when he was standing there full sat, I was thinking, like to the striker of the ball, I think, where can I put this? Like, look at the size of him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The first save is outstanding, by the way. That first one is top draw. And it's funny when it sounds daft to say this, but when he saved the first one, I thought he might save all of them. I really did. I was like, he just looked so big, man, in that goal. I'm thinking you could save all of them here.
Yeah.
But you know, right, in football, right, you've got times where Bruno will save her, right? You'll have matches where Wilson will save her, St. Maximin will save her. And Bruno was so upset at the end of this game, which I know we're going to get to his penalty in a minute. But it was Pope's time. It was just Pope's moment to save us, wasn't it? You know, every player has a moment. Sometimes your defender will have a great moment in the game that'll save you. This was Pope's moment, you know, and it fully deserved.
It really was. Who took our second penalty? Was it Trippier?
Yeah, Trippier. Tripp's lovely penalty as well.
So another great penalty. Then next up, I want to say it was Botman who missed his.
Yeah. Were you surprised at him taking one? Were you surprised? Or?
Do you know what it is, right? Some of the best penalty takers are left-footed players, but I'm never confident when I see a left-footed player take it. I don't know what it is. It's probably the run-up and the approach to the penalty. And I'm never confident when I see somebody step up and take that step to the right. I think, oh, shit.
So some lad behind us, some old bloke went, oh, it's a lefty. Straight away.
Honestly, it's one of those things in football. And the people that miss penalties tend to be lefties.
No, I agree.
But it's not a great penalty. It's poor. Like, it's like... It is. The keeper doesn't really have to move for it. He doesn't really have to dive, really, because it's like in between the middle and the goal and the post. It's in perfect height as well.
I haven't seen it back, if I'm honest, but it seemed in real time. It seemed as if he changed his mind almost at the strike of the ball.
What he was going to do.
Yeah, it really did. As if he ran up and then changed his mind and then just hit it. You know what I mean? It was very poor. Like, it wasn't a good penalty at all.
Yeah. So at that point, I'm getting a bit nervy. I'm not going to lie. I'm thinking, shit. Like, obviously. Then it comes along. Next penalty for us is Joe Linton.
Yes, Big Joe. Yeah. Well, them of
Pope.
Botman, he saves the next one, Pope, after Botman, which was a fantastic. What's the word? Sort of relief. You know what I mean? Like, obviously Botman is just missed, but then he saves that one, which is fantastic. You know?
Yeah. But Joe Linton turns up, and we've seen Joe Linton take a couple of penalties, and I'm sure he's missed one as well.
He has.
I think it was around about the time where everybody wanted Joe Linton to score, and he got the opportunity, he got the penalty, he missed it, didn't he? I think that was a shocking penalty as well. But last night, he absolutely buries that one again. Then you go
Pope
to the
saves
fifth.
again.
Yeah, so Pope saves it. Then you go to the fifth penalty, and it's Bruno that steps up. And I don't want to be too harsh because I love Bruno, but I think we'll have to be at this point because that was a god-awful penalty. Everything about that penalty was absolutely shocking.
It was. I think, I'm not particularly like... It happens, right? It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It's football, it's penalties, it happens, right? It's a bit of a lottery in a sense. A lot of people are obviously criticising the run-up. You know, you're coming back square to the ball, you're doing a few steps to the left, and then you're doing this tippy-tap thing, you know.
And like a little skip thing.
Yeah, it's... But that must be how he takes his penalties, I guess, right? Yeah. I don't think he's just done it for that night because you're going to win the penalty, so I'm going to do this acrobatic.
And a lot of it is mind games against the goalkeeper as well.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of that is. He's hoping the goalkeeper's going to make the move first.
I think the actual penalty itself is horrendous. Like, I mean, he gets under the ball so much.
High and wide, isn't it?
It was, it was awful. I can't know the words for it. It was awful. Yeah, it was.
And you could tell he was absolutely distraught. He really was.
I think it's affected him a lot more than I expected it to. I mean, don't get us wrong, I don't think on Saturday it's going to be bothering him. But I honestly think today he'll be bothered. I think he's that bothered. Even I've seen the photograph of the full team at the end, which you've probably seen, and all the team celebrating in the changing rooms, and he's miserable as fuck on the floor. So you could tell that even when Pope saved the sort of the winner, I feel like.
Head was down, wasn't it? He
was good. He was good. He's walking around at the end. He was good. Yeah, he's took it. He's really took it hard, like, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's took that one hard. But it like you said, like, it happens, and this is where you see what the players really like, and the players around him as well. So no doubt the likes of, obviously, I believe actually when Botman missed, Lascelles was the first one out.
He was
to Botman, yeah, quickly followed by Trippier.
It was lovely that, because
the
all, no matter what, they did high fives with each player, and then sort of like joined the back of the line. And they did the same with Bruno, of course they will. And as the picture that we took, which I thought was a lovely moment of the whole bench, that everyone that was involved were, arm in arm type of thing, and just building that team spirit again, that sort of togetherness. It's just really nice.
The photo which we put on social media, like you said, where it is the bench and the coaching staff and the doctors and physios and whoever it is, all in a line, linked in, with arms around each other's shoulders. That photo just shows what Eddie Howe was talking about on the podcast, which he done with Jake Humphries. It just shows that in photo form. And you look at the comparisons between our team than what the Crystal Palace, like, so the bench and the coaching staff were doing. It was just side by side. Really there was no unity in there. There really wasn't.
No.
And like I said, that speaks volumes about what Eddie Howe has done here, and obviously the belief that this team have, and the togetherness that they have. It really, really did show last night, with obviously the penalties which were missed. And that's penalties missed by probably two of our best players.
Oh yeah, well certainly with Bruno, no question. I think again with how, like, I mean, you go back a year ago or so under Bruce. Bruce wasn't even involved in the team talk before the penalties. He was standing away. The penalties were being taken, and he wasn't with the team. Now, obviously, I know he said that was just his own nerves or whatever it was, but I think, again, I much prefer the style that Howe has in terms of the togetherness. That's what I'm always been about that. And I think in Howe's mind, we've missed it as a team, not as a person. I honestly think he'll say to Bruno, no, you haven't missed it. It's us as a team. It's everything's not us. You know what I mean? Which I think is, it's just what the thing that Howe would bring. But the most important thing, obviously, you win the hat. That's the most important thing. It wasn't a great night, but Saint got 90. Shelby got 83 minutes, so that was really good. They've come through unscathed, which I think was positive. So happy days, really. Of course, mate, and you look at the teams that are left in the competition. I'm starting to get a bit excited here. So.
So at full time, we're watching the results come in on the telly, and we're thinking, hang on a second, like, that team's gone, and we're thinking, and I think at that point Liverpool was still playing against Derby. It was Derby, wasn't it? And obviously they nicked it at the end, and I think that could have been another one out. But we've got a hell of a good chance, mate, with those teams that are left. But I'm saying that I wouldn't mind which team we came up against. I really wouldn't, with how we are at the moment, and the confidence that the team have, and the performances that we've seen. I'm not scared about anybody going in this cup game, because you go against, let's say you get somebody like Liverpool or Man City, they probably will rest that first team, or a handful of the first team. Where I think maybe for us, if we get one of the big boys, I think Eddie Howe might go all guns blazing with a full-on starting 11, the best available.
Yeah, I think so as well. I do. I think he would, because I think when we come back, we're getting to the nitty-gritty end of the competition. You get through the next round, and I'd love the next round to be kind to her. You get a home tie against Gillingham or someone like that would be lovely. And I honestly think there's definitely a chance to at least get to the semis. Like, I have a real feeling there is. And then when you get to that level, Howe would go all guns out. Then that's it. Yeah. Like, we've got a real chance here. So I think in Howe's mind, I think really almost everything came together. Obviously, it wasn't the greatest of performances, but he's managed to rest players, or certainly give players a little bit of time on the field.
Yeah.
The players that he would have wanted to get minutes of getting minutes. And we're through the next round. So in all, it was a good night. It's just the performance wasn't what we're used to, as you've mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I think you've summed it up perfectly. Players got minutes, players got a rest, and we're through the next round. End of the day, it's a decent result.
I think Bruno will score on Saturday. I really do. I have a feeling I think he'll score on Saturday, and almost like, redemption in his mind. It's not redemption to us. We love him no matter what. It's fine. But I just have a feeling if we got a penalty on Saturday, Wilson would take it, wouldn't he? I suppose. I just wonder how Bruno would be like, "Is it here? I want to make up for it." No.
But that's it for us, mate. Anything else that you want to add?
No, nothing at all. No, nothing at all. No, it was it was great. It's great.
I just want to say thanks to Tyre Spot and Tomcat Tyres who hosted us last night as well. It was an absolute pleasure to be there. And yeah, it was great just to meet up with those guys as well and have a chat with them. Thanks everybody for watching this one. Thanks if you are listening back to the audio as well. Like I say on every single episode, just like the video, it's enough for us. If you want to give a little bit back, become a subscriber. You can become a member as well for $2.99 a month, and you get early access to a lot of these videos, plus much more. So we're off to go and enjoy the rest of our days. And I said that like as if we're dying the rest of our days.
Yeah, I know. I'm going back to bed, mate. I've dropped the kids off. I'm going back to bed. So.
Thanks, everybody. See you later. Ta-ra.
Take care. Bye-bye now.